Well, good morning. I'm here with Doug to talk about ransomware profits dropping and other things,
What?
including also,
Ransomware profits dropping?
yeah, that's a report to that effect. And another fun thing is 996 we'll talk about. It's Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. Yeah, so let me start with that ransomware thing. It seems to
Sure.
me to be my most important story, although I'm not sure I'm convinced. But a company has done an analysis. Um, uh, Thought I could find Coveware. Coveware, whoever they are, has done an analysis and claimed that the number of people paying for ransomware has reached a new low with just 23% of the companies paying, which is a really low number. I think it used to be really high. And one of my friends that works in this business told me a year ago, everybody pays. You always pay. There's no other choice. And they say the average and median ransomware payments fell in quarter three compared to the previous quarter, reaching $377,000 and $140,000 respectively. And they think the shift may reflect large enterprises revising their ransom payment policies and recognizing that these funds are better spent on strengthening defenses.
Hmm.
And that sounds like good news and good logic. So I probably what makes me skeptical. But anyway, certainly that 23% number is very surprising. I think I used to
Yeah.
hear numbers like 75 or 80%.
Yeah. And the FBI years ago was saying just pay them.
They were saying, wow, I thought the government said don't pay, but
Well, initially, FBI had always said, don't pay, don't pay. We never pay ransoms. It'll
like we
set
don't
a bad
negotiate with
precedent.
terrorists. Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden they said, well, pay them.
Well, I thought the argument was irresistible that paying them, of course, is bad for the world in general, but it's the best choice for your company.
Right.
Because if you don't pay, you'll probably have to pay 10 times as much and be down for a month trying to recover all your stuff. But what that means is you don't have an effective backup strategy, and you really ought to fix that.
Yeah, and I think part of this had to do because police departments were getting ransomware and they couldn't prosecute murder trials
Oh, yeah.
because the data was encrypted. They couldn't unencrypt it. The
Yeah.
judge said, okay, time for the show, present your evidence. And they'd say, it's encrypted.
Yeah. And even now that they're doing double extortion almost all the time, or they not only encrypt it, but they steal it and leak it, people still aren't paying. So I think certainly the bell and run solution is that people quit paying. But
Yeah, yeah, and the other thing that's going on is that yeah, they're double whammied.
yeah,
Either they're not getting the unencrypted key or the key to unencrypt, or the data is being leaked anyway. So the criminals are
yeah.
double dipping, so to speak.
Well, yeah, and you do bring up an important point. Very often, even when you pay, you still don't get your data back. I mean,
Yeah,
but well, what I hear, that's like 20 or 30% of the ransomware. So that's just because they're like idiots and incompetent. But
yeah,
that's why you
yeah,
pay for services like one of my friend works. You pay for a consultant to help you when you get ransomware because they know, for example, which group you can trust and which group is wants to rip you off. And
you
that's
got to
threat.
know who's honest among thieves, huh?
Yes, and in fact, that reminds me of another one. Let me see if I can find it, which is also very interesting, kind of disturbing.
So,
Um,
Sam, while you're
yeah,
looking, let me share this with you.
yeah,
When the Colonial Pipeline was uh, was ransomed, right? Their right, all their computers were being held for ransom, or their data was.
yeah.
They sent a ransom note and they said, "We are good, honest criminals. We have a
Uh-huh.
5-star rating. Our reputation is important to us. You must pay us, and we guarantee we'll give you the key." And I think with Colonial Pipeline, they did pay initially, um, but the key that they gave wound up unencrypting the data much slower
Right.
than another mechanism that they found that did it much quicker.
Yeah,
All
I've
right.
heard about that. They often write crappy decryption software.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and I realized the thing I was looking for, we actually had in the last podcast, where I said there was a website you could go run by a company with threat intelligence that had, you could see what had been stolen by info stealers. And I looked up again and I wondered where they got that data. And apparently, They're purchasing it from the threat actors.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, I
And people
remember you.
say that kind of means they're in with the criminals. They're kind of supporting criminals. You could say that, I guess. But anyway, it's very interesting data. And I think what
So,
happens is they monitor the forums where people sell this data and apparently buy some of it and then use it to warn people. So I don't know. You could argue that they're encouraging criminals. You could argue that they're improving the world by helping people. You could argue that they're just secondary criminals exploiting the first crime. Like
so it's kind
ethics
of
get really troubling in information security.
so Sam, it's kind of Yelp reviews for cyber criminals, huh?
Kind of, yeah. And I mean, Yelp reviews started out as a total scam. Before Google bought them, they would just blackmail people and say,
Yeah,
"We're going to put the bad reviews on top unless you pay us money, and then we'll hide them."
yeah. So I kind of have a related story.
Yeah.
People are still getting still buying bitcoins to pay ransomware. Okay, individuals
Well,
and companies.
I guess, yeah. A few years ago, they said everybody should just have a reserve of Bitcoin to be available in case you get ransomware.
Okay. So what's happening is they have the Bitcoin ATMs,
Oh,
right?
well, I don't.
It,
Oh,
it,
individuals would probably go there. Boy, those things I think rip you off, right?
well, no, no. So the Bitcoin ATMs, they're like an ATM,
Yeah.
and there's some around here. I don't know where, but I know I've seen them. But people go to the bank, they withdraw money, and then they put we're in the US, they put American dollars into the Bitcoin ATM. And the Bitcoin ATMs, the amount of money that people are putting in can be in the order of ten to $20,000.
Yeah.
How many? That's a lot of money to put into just feeding $100 bills into an ATM. That must take what, an hour? If you
Why?
if you have 10,000, what is that?
Be a
That's a
hundred,
thousand
no, hundred,
thousand.
no, hundred,
What?
$100 bills.
Oh, $100.
But still,
Oh, it's yes, yeah. Sorry,
what's
sorry.
wrong with you? You never heard of Coinbase?
Well, yeah. So what's going on is the FBI is going in and they're cutting open the machines to
Yeah,
get the cash out. And the Bitcoin ATM vendors are saying, wait a minute, that's our private property. You can't go destroying that.
I would think they can't, not without a search warrant or something.
They're doing it.
Hmm.
So their rationale is, you know, even though it's an intermediary or a carrier, a crime is being committed, and it's more important to retrieve the cash than it is to allow the crime to go through,
Well,
or
they
for
might
the
be on a firm legal basis because, CZ got a several-year sentence for this because
yeah
Binance was doing money laundering for things like cryptocurrency and also child sex exploitation and things like that, and not reporting it. So there are if you run any kind of banking business, there's know your customer requirements, and there's a requirement to report illegal activity.
this
And
is a currency
it
exchange.
may be subject to some of the same regulations, I would
Yeah,
suppose.
yeah. Okay, we don't know. We're not lawyers, and
No,
this
but
gets
I
pretty
was just heard
tricky.
about the
Yeah,
CZ. That is the problem in America. If you run any kind of bank, you do have to report ridiculously obvious illegal activities going on. And you could say anybody putting $100 bills into a Bitcoin machine is obviously being ransomware. Why the hell else would anybody do that?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah. All right. What else you got going for us, Sam?
I think the most interesting thing is the 669 thing. Um, and this is something I just learned about in China a few years ago. Like around 2019, they had a new work ethic, which is you work from 9 a.m. to 9
Oh,
p.m. six
right.
days a week, 72-hour work weeks. And the
Yeah,
Chinese government eventually outlawed this thing. This is insane. This is just exploiting people. This is just working people to death. And the protest movement appeared, which was 669 ICU. So if you work like that, you'll end up in the ICU.
no, I see. I see.
But I
Yeah,
didn't know this. Silicon Valley has now adopted this. But I kind of expected this though, because I think I told you a while ago, I had a student who said, I got a job. It only took me 17 months and I had to apply to 1,700 companies. And I finally got a software engineering job. And when jobs are that hard to get, the employer has all the power.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be grateful to have a job so they can start just ruthlessly exploiting their workers. So apparently they are. And in Silicon Valley, this is the new trend. Everybody has to work a 72-hour work week. And the lights, they said, the security guards say, we just had to turn off the burglar alarm because people are in there 24/7. And this is
Yeah.
just insane. And that's what you expect when there's not enough jobs. And everybody's just laying off more and more people. So I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. But
Well,
yeah,
wasn't there 20 years ago or so, there was the 30-year-olds, there was a rash of panic attacks and heart attacks in younger people.
I don't remember that.
Programmers,
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, you know what? One of these articles said here is they said this happened like 10 or 15 years ago in Silicon Valley
Yeah,
but
okay.
the reason they did it, people weren't being forced to do it. They'd work at startups and they all thought they were going to become billionaires because their startup will sell stock and their stock options
Yeah.
will trend. They say now everybody knows your startup will probably just go broke and your stock options will be worthless, but they're doing it because they're afraid of getting fired. So it's like gone from a sort of hopeful, optimistic thing to just basically slavery, where they're terrified and feel like they have to do all this or they get fired.
Yeah. So I guess this is kind of akin to if you go back maybe 100 more years, where you're a miner and you're going to get black lung disease or
Yes,
some industry where your life will be cut short
that's
as a
just what I was
result of
thinking.
what you yeah,
Back
yeah,
then, when you work in the company town and or basically serfs, you work for the local lord or he'll kill
yeah,
you. And that's
yeah.
that's that's the Republican model. That's what Curtis Yarvin and the Project 2025 is trying to bring back. We'll have a techno lord over each state, and he will, all of us will live in company towns, and we will do whatever the Lord orders us to do, or he will whip us. And that will be the ideal society they're creating.
Hmm. Interesting. So it's kind of like, if you will, the slave era,
It is.
where it was the finance of how much is a slave worth in terms of production, what they produce versus food to feed them
Yeah.
and house them. Yeah,
Yeah. And it's all tied together with the same thing. Um, it has to do with Silicon Valley's new discovery of Christianity and the Peter Thiel talking about how any attempt to hold back technological progress is the Antichrist. And basically, it's going back to the old lords and commoners model. The tech bros are the superior race that can make the decisions, and all the rest of us are an inferior race. We should just be glad they tolerate our existence at all.
yeah, there we go.
We exist only to serve them. The thing is, this seems to me run very much against what the whole idea of America is. And I feel like at some point, the Republican voters will wake up and realize, wait a minute, this is fascism. This is not America. And
One can only hope.
maybe next week, when their health insurance premiums double and triple, that might help wake them up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
So I got a story here,
yeah.
Sam. This is maybe a little bit old, but this just kind of came up on my radar. So, when the war in Russia began against Ukraine,
Yeah.
Russia went and stole a lot of John Deere tractors. Did you
Oh,
know that?
from Ukraine?
Yeah, Ukraine, and brought it back into Russia. This is our property.
I didn't know that. I did know that Americans would get Russian malware to control their tractors to avoid having to pay John Deere for the updates.
Yeah. So what did John Deere do?
Turn off
They
the tractors
brick
remotely.
they bricked all the tractors.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. It's their IoT devices tied to the cloud now, just like everything else.
Yeah. So, this kind of comes up of a larger picture of getting devices. And you've got central control with these cloud devices. We saw that with Amazon. How many services went down as a result of Amazon's DNS
Everything, and
issue?
Signal is out there apologizing because Signal went down, and they're saying, "Wait a minute, why is Signal using Amazon?" And they said, there's really no choice. There's only a couple of cloud providers.
Yeah,
If we didn't use
yeah.
Amazon, we'd have to use Azure, and it really amount to about the same thing.
Right, right. And it's to be fair, it's not to say that Azure hasn't gone down either
No, that's why they
as
say
issue.
they say,
Yeah,
you can't really have a big service without using one of the cloud providers, and you're
right.
dependent on them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so kind of we're talking news here. The TikTok deal. Have you heard about that? That's supposed to be, I think, this Thursday, is it not?
Ellison gets it, right?
Well, it's interesting. So it's TikTok is already on Oracle servers. I think Ellison's son, is it Ellison or Ellison's son?
I don't know.
Well, let's say Ellison family is looking into probably getting ownership. So it's not 100% Ellison family. Um, China is still going to own 20%, so 80% is not Chinese. The details are still being worked out, but Ellison is going to own a portion of it. But there are also some European companies that are going to own portions of it, is what it sounds like.
Yep.
So we'll see. That's to go this week. And how long has that been? That's been 10 months
Oh,
in the
it
makings.
started under the Biden administration, so I think it must be more than a
Oh,
year.
yeah, 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 yeah. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, I think the first 90-day
Yeah.
period ran out just when Trump got in or something like that. So
The the
it's
day
been
before,
it's been
right?
like more than a year. They've been supposed to shut down TikTok, but they keep on Trump keeps extending it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And and it sounds like what they're going to do is isn't this going to be interesting? They're going to have the American app and they're going to have the rest of the world app.
Oh, well, what's the difference?
The American app is controlled by Ellerson or the American version of TikTok. So
Everybody else
they'll
will
have
have
an
everybody else will have the original Chinese version?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that at least that's understanding right now what's going on.
So then the
So
Americans can just get a VPN and use the Chinese one.
yeah, so the question is, here's the question, Sam. If you're posting content,
Yeah,
are you going to post it on both TikToks?
I would think
And
so.
and
Yeah.
and are people going to switch from non-American TikTok to TikTok,
Well,
American
I'm
TikTok?
sure they would if there was a significant difference in content, like if they banned the porn on the American one but not on the other one or something. But I think they're both I think they're both pretty filtered. So I don't think anybody would switch unless there was really significant amount of content that was blocked on one of them.
Well, you're essentially starting from a blank slate.
They aren't going to bring in all the old data. Well, I guess I don't
Uh,
think it matters though. I think everybody just looks at the recent stuff.
yeah, but you have a different app.
Yeah, well, I would imagine you publish to both of them. I know people that write books, run software and publish it to like 10 formats. And everybody that puts stuff on TikTok, it also goes to YouTube shorts and stuff. You know, everybody's learned to publish on every platform.
Right, but this is a new platform, is what I'm getting at.
Sure, and you'll just add it to the list. I think everything
Yeah,
will get
so
posted
so
to
the
all of them.
question is, you'll add it to the list,
Yeah.
but will your followers follow you to the new format?
Well,
Or
that's,
or
yeah.
or will they go somewhere else that you're like YouTube,
Well,
where it's already being published?
I think this is the modern trend. Like ever since Twitter was ruined by Elon, social media has fragmented. Now there's like
Right.
many social networks, and so
Yeah.
it's just splintered. And I think the same thing will happen here, which is really kind of healthy. Like, when you don't have one monopoly player controlling everything, you have a variety of choices.
Well, look, when people were banned on Twitter, there was Blue Sky and Mastodon.
Right. And
And
also something called, there's another one. Anyway,
no, yeah. So yeah, what
Threads.
it did is it fragmented the audience.
Right.
And neither one of those, Mastodon and Blue Sky, never achieved what Twitter had in
Well,
terms of popularity or users.
Well, they say Blue Sky and Threads are both really major contenders now. I think what happened is they split the way America split. All the right wingers went to X, and all
Yeah.
the left wingers went to Blue Sky. So that
But
kind of
what
our society splitting too.
yeah, but what happened is a lot of the reporters found that or yeah, a lot of reporters, news reporters realized that they didn't go to Mastodon, or a fraction of people went to Blue Sky, Mastodon, Threads, but still the majority of people were still on X
They
or
are.
Twitter. Yeah.
That's
So
why you have
you
to be
still
there.
had to post on Twitter if you wanted to keep your audience, is what I'm
Yes.
getting at.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And by the
Yeah.
way, almost nobody went to Mastodon, which is why it's good. Nobody but sort of technophiles went to Mastodon.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
Tastodon is like what Twitter was in the early days when there was nobody there but techno nerds, the way I like it. Then you had a bunch of like celebrities and football players and political figures come in and sort of ruin it. They can have it. Mastodon is just technical information, just what I want. It's like the Infosec ticker tape,
yeah, yeah.
which is all I ever wanted anyway. Um,
Yeah, all right. So we'll see what's going to happen with
yeah, yeah.
Mastodon, yeah, or with TikTok and the
Well,
deal.
yeah, but it sounds like TikTok, well, from the viewpoint of a user, TikTok will just pretty much continue as always. I think Americans will continue to use it happily.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll get the news later on this week what the deals are, what the
yeah.
deal is.
Well, anyway, so Rachel Maddow had a big show last night about the spyware that ICE is getting. And I'm very interested in this because I have students who've been infected by nasty spyware. It's ruining their life. And I heard this at the time, but I hadn't thought about it in this context. You know, ICE agents have shown that they are just a bunch of brutal thugs that have no idea what they're doing, shooting preachers, shooting, arresting citizens and everything else. They just seem to be what you'd think, a bunch of proud boys ready to give them a uniform, no training, and a bunch of weapons and say, go out there and shoot everybody that looks like an immigrant. And
Yep.
so now they have Pegasus spyware. They have I Biden administration blocked this, but the Trump approved it, and ICE has had graphite, which is the latest phone spyware produced in Israel that can just take over the phone. And I imagine they're just deploying that like crazy. And they say they'll probably start deploying it against people who go to protests and journalists and all that jazz. So that's interesting. And
Well, similar to that, YouTube videos have become malware traps. Have you heard of that?
no, how do you get malware from YouTube video?
Well, that was my question too. And so the YouTube video is kind of, if you heard of astroturfing,
Just creating some kind of fake place to go. Well, no, tell me what you mean.
oh, okay. So what's going on? The malware traps on YouTube. These are usually fake accounts, and they're talking about something that's good that you want that might be free, or here's a tip, here's the secret way of doing it,
Hmm.
and just click on the link below.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's a low hanging fruit. But the problem is the people that are gullible, that don't
Right.
understand, or really want
Right.
what it is that's being offered for free
Of-
are
These
getting malware.
these days, it would probably be a job offer, would be the thing that would really bring them in.
Yeah, yeah, job offer. Yeah, here's the secret for getting a job offer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you get it.
Yep. Well, that makes sense, I guess. Just another form of phishing.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. So YouTube has actually taken action and they've shut down at least 3,000 accounts, but it's that whack-a-mole game where they're just going to keep popping up.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I got a story that sort of has a bit of a sting in it. So you have 1 week to opt out of LinkedIn AI training. If you live in Europe, Canada, or Hong Kong, and then you have 1 week to opt out, or LinkedIn will start scraping all your data to train AI. But if you live in the USA, don't worry because they've already been scraping your data for a long time without even asking because we don't have any privacy laws. So there's nothing to worry about. Or more fairly, there's nothing to do. You're already screwed. Anyway,
Yeah, okay, got it.
yep. And oh, but this is pretty cute. A company called Zenni has got a coating for your glasses. They put a pink sheen on the surface of the glasses, and now your glasses reflect IR, so facial recognition can't see you. And in fact, they say you can't even open up your iPhone with your face anymore
Hmm.
because your eyes are like glowing. It's like little Orphan Annie. Your eyes turn into glowing white dots in
Ah,
the camera.
interesting.
Yeah. So that's
Hmm.
kind of cute. Um,
And is it a coating
yeah, it's a
or like
coating for your
a
lens.
liquid?
Yeah, it's,
Do
well,
you,
I don't know how you apply it, but
oh,
it's a
okay.
coating, like, anti-reflection coating, some kind of coating on
Yeah.
the lens. You probably have to get new glasses, but it's cute. And
Ah,
yeah, and
Zenny, huh?
yeah, yeah. And another useful AI story. So this kid in Baltimore went to like football practice or something, and then he left and walked outside with a bag of Doritos, and the AI, the camera detected that as a gun. So 8 police cars showed up, they pointed guns at him and arrested him. They thought his bag of Doritos was a gun. So that's pretty bad AI image processing. But
What?
that apparently that's the case. His bag of Doritos was interpreted as a gun,
Okay.
and they deployed the cops. So that's just he's now afraid to go outside, which I can't blame him.
Yeah, interesting, huh?
Yeah. Let's see. I got.
All right. So we got a big date coming up here, December 10th. You know what December 10th is?
I don't.
Well, if you live in Australia and you're 16 or under 16, no more social media for you.
Oh, that's when the age gating comes up.
Yeah, the age gating for social media. And you know what the government is saying?
No?
What are they telling these kids? Sorry, kids, no more social media for you. But you know what you should do is call your friends.
Yeah. I would say
Pick
go
up the
out.
phone,
Yeah,
call
go
your
out.
friends and talk to them.
Yeah, or just go outside and actually meet with them in the real
No,
world.
no. But the official word is
Yeah.
call your friends.
Well, yeah,
Well,
still,
wait a minute.
that's not
What's
terrible.
the what's the difference between calling your friends and texting your
Well, I
friends?
think there's a big difference, actually.
You
I
think
think that's the
so?
whole point, because I think when you actually talk to people in real time, you have like politeness and stuff. I mean, that's the problem. And the problem is these online communities are sort of anonymous and you don't really see the faces of people. So people form like bully each other and form terrible groups and spread awful rumors and stuff. I think if you actually talk to people, there's more of the social rules come in. And I think that's the real problem. If young people don't have real life friends, they don't actually learn how to socialize. That's the
May,
idea anyway.
maybe. So, Sam, we'll see. This experiment goes into effect December 10th,
Well, it
which
does.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, which is a little over 2 weeks away or about 2 weeks away, right?
Yeah, well, I think there's already age gating for a lot of websites in a bunch of American states.
Yeah,
And so I
yeah.
think we're doing the same thing here. We're just a little bit behind.
Well, it's not a massive block, though, in the
It's a
US.
whole state, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
that'll affect a lot of people.
yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. What else you got for us?
Well, this one sort of caught my attention. You might understand it better than me. There's a company called QNAP. I think they make backup software, but anyway, they have a critical flaw in their software because it's in ASP.NET, Microsoft's product. And the problem is that another article from Microsoft announced this, a 9.9 rated ASP.NET Core flaw. But I didn't understand this. What it means is there are two ways to compile .NET software. One is where you include the libraries in the software, in which case you're going to have to update your software to fix it. And the other
Yeah.
is where it runs in the ASP.NET runtime that's in the operating system, in which case you have to update the operating system to get the patch in. So that's a little strange and confusing. And I wonder how many people are successfully going to patch this stuff. But anyway, there's a serious flaw and you have to patch it. But and they said what you have to do is reinstall the software to update it for
Wait,
the QNAP stuff.
the
Because I guess,
QNAP software or the operating system?
well, the QNAP software, you have to
Yeah,
reinstall it
okay,
because
okay.
apparently that's the only way they can update the .NET stuff that's inside the software.
Okay.
And that's a
That
little
wasn't well
screwy.
thought out. Yeah.
I know this is a little bit screwy. This and ASP is really widespread.
Right, right.
So I think in practice, what this means is a whole lot of ASP software is not going to get properly patched, as people don't really understand these confusing instructions.
Yeah, yeah. I would tend to agree. You know, but we see that with apps on our phone, right? That you have an app on your phone and it's automatically updated in the background.
I don't think any of them are automatically updated on my phone.
Well, I'm Apple, and every once in a while I'll get apps that are updating
Oh,
themselves.
I got
YouTube
Apple
is
too, and I don't think any of them get updated automatically.
you wouldn't notice unless you're looking at the actual app while it's being updated
Yeah,
because it's
well,
you can't
maybe,
use it obviously.
yeah, maybe it's happening. Yeah, I haven't checked. Um,
Yeah, or maybe Sam, are there auto updates?
I think you can have auto updates in the iOS.
Yeah,
And that I think does
iOS.
happen, but I don't think it updates the apps. Those are separate.
Yeah,
Only the critical system apps get automatically updated. I think the Microsoft apps automatically update, like Teams and stuff. I think I do see that happen.
In on your iPhone or
Yeah.
iPad. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, yeah,
So
yeah.
some of them do auto update, I guess. Yeah.
Right, right.
But a
But
lot of
not
them don't.
all.
Yeah. A lot of
Or
them don't. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
speaking of that, researcher Kevin Beaumont, who's very prolific on Mastodon, a very good guy, he's been doing scans to see what version of ASA devices are out there. And he has found out something that probably won't surprise people. Most people never update their firewalls at all. So, and Cisco ASA firewalls are very widespread and they have a lot of serious vulnerabilities. And he's finding them like 5 years out of date in patches and stuff. And he says nobody's updating their ASA or their VPN devices. And those are now the number one things that get hacked, the firewalls
Yeah,
and VPNs.
yeah. You know what I'd say about that is a lot of times those ASA devices were installed in some small company remote office and they work and nobody wants to touch them.
Well, that's true. And also, I think there's been
Yeah,
a belief from like 5 years ago that that's the end devices get infected, like the Windows machines, but you don't think
right,
anybody's going to infect your firewall or your
right,
router. You
right,
think that
right.
stuff is just sort of hardwired and you know, not you don't have to worry about it. But now we
Yeah,
really have to worry about it. That's why I remember when shadow brokers came out and they dumped the NSA stolen tools and all the tools were to hack into routers. That's what caught my attention. Hey, they're hacking into routers? Really? I thought that was just science fiction. But the NSA was really doing it, and now everybody's doing it. So we really need secure routers and firewalls and VPNs, and we really don't have them.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you know, a lot of these routers, nobody wants to touch them
If
because
they
this
would
is
just
core
work,
business.
you think it's like the phone network, right? You
Yeah,
pick up the phone, it works. You don't think it's a device that is being modified and has to have updates and all that jazz.
yeah. Well,
And
yeah,
and
yeah,
the Europol has finally spoke up and said, caller ID doesn't work. How about you fix caller ID so you can't spoof it anymore? You're calling for that. They've got a point. It's been this way forever. You can just put any caller ID you want on things. And so there's the swatting where you call the cops, the caller ID
yeah,
makes them think it's you're somewhere else. And I don't know why anybody else didn't do this, but Europol finally said, all right, well, how about you phone companies put some kind of like security on that so the caller ID is actually accurate? Is that too much to ask? They've got a point. Seems like they could do that.
yeah.
And like they really oughta, because a whole lot of scams and things rely on spoofing caller ID.
Well, I think the phone companies have an incentive not to do it.
Really?
And yeah, and the reason is they get more business, more phone calls.
Well, oh, because of the scam calls.
Yeah, yeah, because of scam calls.
Well, yeah, but I don't think they want those calls. I think those calls are more trouble than they're worth.
Oh, no, 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 no. There's a lot of money being made with spam calls.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't get caller ID on mine. Or maybe I do. My phone pops up the name if it's a recognized contact, but that's not caller ID. I don't think smartphones show caller ID, actually.
No, they do. They do. It depends on the setting on your phone.
Well, anyway, I wonder how important caller ID actually is. But anyway,
I think, it works for people but it's useless for everything else.
but I thought the people do not depend on caller ID. They just know my number. The phone number's in my contacts, and it shows me the name from my contacts. It's not
Right.
using caller ID.
No, yeah, correct. But
Yeah,
if somebody calls from a landline or sorry, see, you have a setting in Apple that's referring back to your contact list. If
I
you turn
suppose.
that off,
Yeah,
right, or it's an unknown number, again, depending on what your settings are, you'll get the caller ID.
yeah. Well, all right. And
So,
let's
yeah.
see. I'm looking to see what else is worth talking about
All
here.
right. How about Myanmar?
Myanmar, that's where the calls are coming from, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we know we talked several months about Dubai where there were 3,000 people arrested. So there was a bust in uh, Myanmar. Am I saying
Hmm.
that right?
I think so,
Myanmar.
yeah.
Okay. Where there were pig butchering going on,
Right.
which
That's the
is
big
which
one.
yeah, which is a big one. And I guess there was an arrest and they did the photos. And you know what equipment they saw
I don't know.
laying around? Whose equipment were they using? And turned out to be Starlink.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
Oh, okay.
But after it came out, Starlink blocked it. So
Yeah, yeah. So interesting
that's
here that
because the other ISPs cut them off. So they
right.
switched to Starlink. And this is just like the bulletproof hosting. Any kind of crime, they use a service, they get kicked off, they move to another, they move to another, you know.
Yeah. So this is kind of like the John Deere tractors. Elon can come along and shut off Starlink.
Well, remember, he did that in Ukraine. If
Yeah.
they, so that's and this is where people began to question, should Elon really have control over like major military operations when he seems to be just sort of one lunatic on drugs? Shouldn't it be like, a board of directors or the Pentagon group or something, some group of responsible people?
Well, then you extend this. Does John Deere have the right to do that?
Well, as long as it is their product, I guess they have the right because in principle you could buy a different product. But, Starlink is kind of indispensable. So, this is a very common argument. When you have an essential service, they like to like nationalize it and regulate it. When you're just in the marketplace and there are competitors, then they don't need to so much.
Yeah, but I don't know. Are there competitors to John Deere? I mean, they have
I
very
don't really know.
specialized equipment.
Yeah, I don't know enough about tractors. I mean, I assume there's other brands of tractors, but now that you mentioned it, I can't think of one.
Yeah, I mean, these are big industrial, highly specialized for picking corn or harvesting wheat or
Yeah,
whatever
that's
they
true.
do.
That's true. It's
Yeah.
not like when I was a kid when a tractor was a pretty simple mechanical device.
Yeah, yeah, it was kind of like a toolbox.
It was just sort of like a car with a place to put a plow on the back of it. That's all it was.
Yeah, I mean, you could put a plow, you could put all kinds of different
Put something to cut the
attachments.
grass and all that, but it
Right.
was, yeah, but now it's
Right, but
much more
but
specialized.
it couldn't be you could continue to use it. You don't have a company or an individual that could deactivate it.
Well, sure, I grew up before the internet, so there's none of this
Yeah,
nonsense.
exactly. I
Well,
guess I guess you could the way it could be shut down is no fuel.
well, sure.
Yeah,
Or because it
yeah,
could break down, but that was
yeah,
not under
yeah. No
anybody's
parts.
control. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we got some more going on
I
here.
got two more in the world of AI. One
Okay.
is so there's a guy that used to be an Intel CEO has left, and he's now making the Christian AI to serve churches and stuff. And he says, this is like Peter Thiel, who's also now some type of Christian. And his point is he's going to hasten the coming of Christ's return by promoting churches with Christian AI. So
What?
he's making a
What?
specific chatbot just trained to be Christian to help churches and everything spread the message.
And what's the message?
Well, I assume some form of biblical Christianity message, although I must say, if you listen to Peter Thiel, and for that matter, Donald Trump's spiritual advisor, these are full of like the modern prosperity gospel where all of Trump's bigotry is okay and getting rich is good and stuff, which would be news to Christ. I mean, his whole thing was the rich people should give your money to the poor. I'm not hearing that from the Silicon Valley billionaires or Donald Trump, but they've got some kind of prosperity gospel which turns it all upside down, which has happened a lot, like all the other scammers. But anyway, he's now going to use AI to bring, and I remember when I was a kid, I would go to church and we'd recite the Nicene Creed, and I come home and
Yeah.
ask my dad, "Hey, man, Christ is going to come back and destroy the world, and this is a good thing, and we're supposed to make this happen. Does that make any sense?" And he kind of said, "Well, nothing ever makes any sense around there. Just shut up, quit worrying about it, or something." But um, uh, and I think it was Liz, my friend, that got kicked out of Sunday school for asking questions like this.
Yeah.
You can read the
Yeah.
Bible and you can pretty quickly ask some questions that will bother people, and they don't want to hear it. I knew a preacher who said he actually took questions from the pulpit, but pretty soon he was no longer a preacher, because, applying logic to this stuff doesn't help much. Anyway, the last one is, remember how OpenAI just put out their new smart browser? agentic browser
Right.
that can do things
Yeah.
for you. Okay, so people tested it, and somebody already hacked it. They found that the URL bar where you can type a URL or you can put in like keywords and it'll search by Google. Well, now if you put anything in there that it doesn't recognize as a URL, it treats it as instructions to the chatbot. So I what else would so I can just send you a link to click on and it will go in there and execute those instructions. All you have to do is put an HTTP colon slash space slash, and then it will say, oh, this isn't a URL anymore. So I'll take all the words after that slash and interpret them as a command. And the command can say, like, go in my documents folder and delete all the Excel files. And it will do that. So, this is, and when they delivered the product like a few days ago, they said, we are aware that prompt injection is a serious vulnerability and we haven't really solved it yet, but here you go. Have fun. And they weren't kidding. And I say, this is like the warning on a pack of cigarettes. Here, you can have this. It's going to kill you, but you can have it. And hopefully the warning that it's going to kill you means you're not legally liable, right? And I say, guess we're going to find out about that. Use at your own risk, I guess.
All right, Sam. So is that it for you?
That's it for me.
All right, let me close out with this one. We talked last time about the NBA poker scandal and the connection with the Mafia, National Basketball League Association.
I think we did, but I don't remember. Poker?
Yeah, poker.
I
And
can't remember how this works.
doing is they were setting up poker games with NBA stars or basketball players.
I
And
guess
so,
like any other rich people, they probably enjoy poker.
yeah, and so you could pay to play with a NBA star
Oh, okay.
basketball
It's
player.
sort of a
Okay.
celebrity thing.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, a celebrity thing. But as it turns out, there are cameras in the card shufflers. So as the
Oh.
cards were being shuffled by the machine, there was a camera in there, so they knew the order of the deck.
Now, this is not in like a Las Vegas casino or anything, is it?
No,
This
no,
is some
these
kind
are
of private event where they've rigged it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's got to be illegal, I would think.
Well, the whole thing is illegal,
Oh,
isn't it?
the gambling's, oh, it's not, there's someplace where gambling is not legal.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it was, but
Yeah,
anyway, well, the game's rigged,
right.
so
Which
it's
is a
no
shame
longer a
because,
game of
poker is one
chance.
of the games that's not rigged. There's no house edge. It really is a game of skill. So a person could reasonably feel like they're doing something and have a reasonable expectation of winning.
Yeah, and so I guess what's happened is there are some very talented poker players
Yeah,
that were losing
right.
and couldn't understand why they were losing.
Right. So they figured out it was rigged. Yeah.
And so it turns out that not only was there a camera
Camera.
in the card shuffler, but they were wearing watches that they could communicate and bzz, bzz, a
Yeah.
vibration would tell the unskilled poker player how to bet or how to play the hand.
Yeah, I've heard about, there's the older ones where somebody would walk behind you and see your cards and then somehow send a
Yeah,
signal.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
plenty of ways to cheat.
I
And
mean,
if you paid money to get in the game, they've already got their money. That's why you always catch criminals because they get greedy. If
yeah.
you would just take a reasonable amount of money for your service, you'd be okay. It's when you
But
try to take everything that people find out and get mad at you.
but Sam, this is the mafia.
Well, the
Do you
mafia
think
ought
they're
to
going
know
to
how to
take?
run business.
You think they take a little slice?
Well, I think there probably are different people in the mafia with different codes of ethics and stuff. But yeah,
I don't know. I'm not connected with the mafia. Don't know.
all I know is from movies.
Yeah, yeah. There we go.
But the movies portray that, there's old guys that know some rules and there's a bunch of young upstarts that have no rules, which I imagine is probably true.
Anyway, that's it. So that's what's
Yeah.
going on. And it turns out that the NBA connection with this poker scandal was sort of this tangential to the real story. And the
Yeah.
FBI just kind of threw it in there to sensationalize it. NBA.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess and I was thinking about how to build that a little tiny camera and fast so you can read the cards as they go by. That does seem like that would be kind of a fun, project for
A
building
little
your
project.
Raspberry Pi. Take a Raspberry Pi and turn it into something that will read all the cards as they get shuffled. That sounds like a kind of fun project, like a hack-a-day project.
Yeah, and I guess you'd have to know, let's see, the way poker is played, every player is dealt a certain number of cards.
Yeah, five usually. Yeah.
Yeah, five, let's say five cards. And then if you're doing the I forgot, I
Draw
don't know
poker. Draw poker. You can
what
draw like up to three more. You can trade
yeah,
cards. And so if you know the order, you'd know what the original hands are, and you'd know whether to draw or not because you know what you're going to get.
yeah, but what's the other one? Is it stud poker where you flip the cards?
There's somewhere some of the cards are face up, but the game really hinges on the hidden cards. And that's what you would know because of that camera.
Yeah, but if you do, if the players, if it's the other version of poker, sorry, I don't play.
Yeah,
Um, but everybody gets a certain number of cards, and
right.
then you flip the cards over.
That's right.
So you don't, there's no variability of when somebody says, I want one card or up to three cards,
Uh,
right?
There's always a choice there when you draw cards, but
But
the
that's draw poker.
yes, but I think yeah, there's different kinds. There's even straight
Yeah,
where we don't draw at all. But the point is you have hidden cards, and if you knew what
right,
the other
right.
people's hidden cards were, then
Yeah,
you know whether to bet or not.
yeah.
And so
I think it's stud poker where you flip the cards over. The
one by one,
players
yeah.
don't exchange. Yeah.
That's
And
right. You
so
flip
with
it over
that,
and then you bet
right.
again. And with the additional information, it now changes your estimate of whether you should be betting or not.
Yeah, but now you know what your hand is worth versus what the hidden cards are. So
Well, you,
game over for you
well, yeah,
because
but
you
you don't
already
turn, what you do is you don't turn them all over. You have like four hidden cards. You turn over one and then you bet. And now you have a little more information about the other people's hands. And then you turn over one more and bet. So you gradually gain more information.
but you already know where you stand
Of course, but
because you know what the cards that have been flipped over are.
right, you know your own cards, but you're gradually learning more about the other people. So
No, no. Well, that's if you're playing the game legitimately.
that's right. If you know
But
everything,
if you know
then you're
everything,
totally screwed. Then you know if you got a loser, you just quit, and you know if you have a winner, then you just bet
right.
big. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. If you could see all the cards, then you'd be unbeatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the point in playing?
To get money, you might as
Yeah,
well
yeah.
just point a gun at them and take their wallet. That's basically what you're doing.
All right, Sam. So we meet again on Friday, which is Halloween.
I guess it is now that you mention it. I never pay any
Yeah.
attention, but some of my students may well appear in dress up clothes.
Yeah. There we go.
All right.
All right,
See you
Sam.
then.
Thanks.
Okay.